So, Jorah LaFluer is a writer-performer who enjoys wearing many different hats. She finds herself on stage as a spoken word poet, event MC, and actor. Offstage, she works with youth as a teaching artist. Each role engages her relentless curiosity about cultivating connection through creative communication. Jorah is currently serving as the lead writer in residence of the 503 nonprofit Word Crafters in Eugene. She's committed to helping others experience the power of being seen and heard, and to promoting the arts as tools of social change and community building. She's been writing and performing for 25 years. Her newest poetry collection, Covidian Times, is on sale here. You can get it on the back table, and it's available now. So let's welcome Jorah LaFluer.
Oh, is it though? That's cool. I brought some more books. Oh, I'm sure it's still here. Let's see. Whoever did this did it tight. It's like a pliers mic situation. All right. Yeah. Well, Valerie, thanks so much for having me. Thank you for putting this together. Organizing things when you are also yourself a creative is always an interesting double-hatted job. As someone who has done that one a lot, I really appreciate the extra effort that it takes to use both sides of your brain in the moment. Hi. It's hot out, and we're inside a building. I'm gonna be honest, if I wasn't committed, I might not be here. I'd probably be on the water. So everyone who came to be this show, because the show only exists when folks come to do the incredibly generous act of contributing their attention to whoever is doing the vulnerable act of offering their words. I just really extra appreciate everyone who's in the room. I get right out there. So I thought I would, thinking about this theme that Valerie invited us to participate in, I found maybe like a little time travel was in order. So I'm going to share a piece that I wrote well before the pandemic, when I was sort of reflecting upon, needing to go into a more internal space about how does change happen, and it has a real different flavor now, like as do many of the things I've written, and I'm sure some of you, different creations, all have been changed by this. So it's just, we can all discover together how this sounds now. This piece is called Cell Soup. Like a visceral melody that's stuck in my head, I can't stop thinking about butterflies. They're such an obvious symbol for change that I feel super lame and unoriginal for writing about how perfectly they represent the transformation that I'm going through. But no, I can't stop thinking about butterflies. I daydream about what it feels like to be a caterpillar when the latent internal alarm goes off, calling them to chrysalis, like, beep, 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 it's been 3 weeks, time to die. Beep, beep, beep. There are undeniable noises pounding in my chest, but I don't know how to make a cocoon. So I just start staying home alone a lot on Friday nights and Saturday nights and most nights, and meditating in the mornings, trying to crawl into my own darkness without fear. And I wonder if the caterpillar is afraid, because sometimes I am so afraid, immobile, suspended, hanging, vulnerable, unable to touch the outside world while inside a symphony of chaos. I watched a YouTube video about metamorphosis, and it shows how all the caterpillar's little legs and outer body become a husk and fall off. Well, inside, everything is breaking down into a cell soup from which the new body will be formed. And I'm thinking, holy shit, what does that feel like? And I am thinking, holy shit, I know what that feels like. I am chaos. I am cell soup. The whole digestive system of the butterfly has to change to accommodate the fact that where once it ate leaves, now it will drink nectar. I have crawled through a lifetime of wanting, with big eyes looking up, trying to explore those heights by climbing and clinging, finding always limitation, always the end of the branch. I wonder if emerging is harder than going in. When the cocoon becomes a thin veil for an organism reordered, ready to flap wings and cause storms halfway across the globe, is it harder to step out into an unknown brilliance? Who am I to want to drink nectar? Who am I without this persistent sadness and white noise dissatisfaction, without the weight of my wounds to keep me grounded? Could I even still be me, set free from the creeping body of self-knowledge that has carried me this far? What if there are no more pieces of me that I recognize outside this cocoon? What if I leave too soon, half-formed instead of reborn? I am cell stew. I am jelly. I am telling myself new stories every day about bright colors and freedom, about pollination and purpose, and I keep staying in on Friday nights, and most nights. It is sometimes lonely. Last Sunday, spring came to knock at my door. She was so beautiful. I was terrified and stayed inside, enfolded in wet, untested wings. And now spring sings me a little lullaby each morning, inviting me to invert my understanding of dreams. The seams of the cocoon are loosening. I am listening. I watch a time-lapse video of a butterfly rising from the tomb that the caterpillar built. It does not look so gentle or so easy. The time of the push, the time of the breaking. This is birth, irrevocable, open, uncertainty, crying. But I know there are flowers out there with my name on them, and I am dying to taste them. Little did I know. So I did, in April of 2020, when we went into our first lockdown state and everything was incredibly uncertain and unknown. The pandemic was just starting. April is National Poetry Month, and a lot of poets participate in something called the 30-30, which is like NaNoWriMo, for those of you who are into National Novel Writing Month. So it's a national write a poem each day of the month of April. I had never done it before, and I thought that, like, I was locked alone in my house with no job to go to, and I was like, now is the time. And it ended up being very helpful and becoming this documentary project, which I turned into this book. So these pieces are kind of just like they're snapshots in time. They're not masterpieces, but they captured those moments. And themes really continue. This piece is called Involuntary Grace. I took a lot of walks during that time, as did many folks. Wasn't a lot else to do. And I live out in the country, a lot of nature to observe. This was an actual physical observation. This piece is called Involuntary Grace. I made a little art card out of it. So if you do want a book or you just want an art card, I will hand you one of this piece. You're very welcome to take it home with you. Involuntary Grace. Dance, little caterpillar! Dance! What other chance will you have? Wiggle like the wind within your temporary skin. It could begin shortly. The end of you. The beginning of you. We are going through something here. Crawling near an edge. Shimmy your way over the gravel. Rock out while you still can. There's a plan coming soon to cocoon you in liberation. Immobilize you with evolution. Shelter you in place. Before you face that darkness, dance. Dance as though you wish you had wings. Oh, themes. Acceptance. Bless that smart lady who taught me about the 5 stages of grief. I always forget the first 4, but I pocketed the last one like a treasure map that just shows the big X where you want to end up. Acceptance, like contentment, like equanimity, like serenity, need not be a synonym for stagnation, for apathy, for withdrawal. It does invite a surrender. In late March, I read, and this is late March of 2020, in late March I read an article that suggested we were collectively grieving the loss of normal. My losses seem so minor next to the true tragedies. Families saying final goodbyes to quarantined loved ones through computer screens. I wondered if grief was too big a word to encompass my smaller pains. But it did help to explain what I was feeling, what I saw happening around me. I can't say for sure what forgotten stages I have or have not circularly traversed over this month of meta mourning. I know that I've become more able to embrace what I did not choose, would never have chosen. I have learned that acceptance can be a freedom song. Stuff was happening. We had no idea how long it was going to last. There was definitely a sense that it might last a while, and so it has been. Going the distance. If I should drink up the whole river in one gulp, I would hold it in my mouth, walk on foot all the way to the ocean, and spit it back out like laughter, welcoming those waves of relief after a long, strange journey of enduring protection. So, after 2020, more phases have happened, and last year, in 2021, and this month of August, which is Visual Arts Week, the City of Eugene commissioned me to write a piece. And at the time they commissioned me, which was maybe in June, we were shifting into like the first time that the mask mandate dropped, and the cases were all super down, and we were kind of in this like, okay, like is it over? I think it's over. And so the theme that I was sort of asked to write to was the idea of emergence. Then, by the time we actually got to August, 2 months later, already the masks had come back on, the cases were going up, and so I found myself in this very interesting position of trying to sort of reflect on that theme at that time and to write something honest. So, this piece is called Emergence. I wanted to write a poem about emergence. Like I was a caterpillar on the other side of the ride, rising, resilient on new wings as we all spring from the COVID cocoon and regularities resume, zooming less, hugging more. I was all set to explore the metaphor, belt out another butterfly poem about becoming. Who doesn't love a metamorphosis story? The gory inner liquefaction required to inspire something lovely that's always been latent inside us. I wanted to write us into a hopeful next chapter, the one that comes after. The tide shifts and the sickness lifts, a pandemic parable neatly shareable, and I can't. And not just because breakthrough cases are rising, and some reopenings are already revising into cancellation, and new calculations are being daily made. I also can't braid an easy tale of unity with continuity across the community, or trace a neatly linear evolution. I've arrived at no answers. I come to only one conclusion about how to engage with this new phase. This is the part where I need to get real curious. Curiosity is my favorite virtue because it requires courage and engenders compassion. So I pray, come what may, let me stay curious. Let me worship at the altar of continued uncertainty. Let my mouth be a waterfall of questions. How has it been for you, these Covidian times we're living through? A break, a rest, a test, a true tragedy, a blessing, a bore, a time to explore. I want to know more. What does it feel like now? And I hear a season of grief, of relief, of returning to normal or returning to extra precautions and more isolation. I hear a whole lot of opinions about vaccination. This is not one story of emergence. Not just one emergency. 2020, mirror, mirror, vision clearer. How many wider wounds have emerged with new urgency, spawning larger inquiries? How does a mind virus replicate? How does racism survive inside and revive its outer structures? And as we feel the climate change, how is the gain of the few still trumping the help of the many? Have we indeed become the virus that the earth has to cure? I'm sure we don't all share these questions. These are mine, as I try to find an understanding of all the illnesses affecting us all unequally based on our most basic pre-existing conditions, the bodies we're born into, our societal position, which begets my biggest questions. What does healing feel like? What does healing sound like? What does healing look like? Unless I give in to dismay, here comes art to play the part it's always played. I found I could say things with color and shapes that I couldn't say any other way. Things I had no words for. A quote from the painter Jorah LaFluer. What a relief to listen with the eyes to beauty undisguised. How many masks can we remove at once? The purpose of art is to lay bare the questions that have been concealed by the answers. The writer and activist James Baldwin. Artist, thank you. Artist, please. Tell me the name of your pain and how you came to transform it. Artist, how have you survived and thrived so powerfully inside hierarchies that tried to render you powerless? Artist, how do you address the oppressor inside you? Artist, where have we been and where are we going? What is our history showing us about our present? Artist, what does your joy have to tell us all? What delights you most? What are you here to call forth? Artists who might not think of themselves as an artist, regardless. Will you still write the poem you need? Allow your feelings to bleed onto canvas, burst through in song. We are moving along in processes of healing with ending unknown. Tunnel, dark woods, cocoon, pick your metaphor. If we are not out yet, we need outlets. And the input of every artist brave enough to save themselves and let us watch. Show us what emergence looks like. I'm so curious. I can't wait to see. Thank you, fellow creatives, for doing the thing, feeling the feels and the fears and such. So the last piece I'll share with you is actually real old, but it's zooming all the way out. And I'm gonna sip the water. It's always exciting to share the stage with people who don't write poetry, but write prose, because I love it, and it's not what I do myself. To be in a space with so many other people's words and so much visual beauty. But whether we're artists or not, we all do that scary journey thing. This piece is called Sacred Sprawl. From cave walls to bathroom stalls, sacred scrawl records. The journey forwards from protozoa to priest through the belly of the beast. Bittersweet destiny unwinds like lifelines of poetry, stored on stone tablets or napkin fragments. Pieces of pieces forming almighty thesis, a cohesive chaos documenting all of humanity's answers to one unrelenting call. The call we all hear, unless fear of our own greatness desecrates us, recreates us in its image. Can you truly imagine a nation of individual souls pulled by pure inspiration, a people free from dungeons and distractions, dangerous dragons, so many voices encouraging choices of sabotage and self-subtraction, the doubt and the obstacle that will try to cloud your way, all the muddled messages telling you you're not okay. Manipulated media used to confuse and frighten so many fearful earfuls tighten their grip on masses of idle Americans watching American Idol dutifully dialing in their decisions. While the call becomes a scream. What holds sway in the realm of your dreams? What life themes emerge and urge you insistently? Inner quests, outer tests, unspoken requests of brave ancestors come before us, whose echoes implore us to climb sublime mountains and reclaim the sacred and profane as one and the same, because we are some vain, disgusting motherfuckers. And we are as goddess, atoms of the ancient world blossom in our flesh. A fresh beginning without ending. Blending, quickening, thickening ties, the river of lives. Mystics, teachers, parents, poets, preachers, artists, revolutionaries, scientists, saints. We come humbly to replace the heroes of old. Their blood is our blood. Eternally told, the same story unfolds. Thus, every hero stumbles, staggers, Ego swaggers too close to the flame, forgets their true name, and must blunder asunder, travel to personal hell down under, standing tall when the veils fall. Call heated, soil seeded, teardrops needed to feed it, cried from fertilized. Who knew what grew in the wake of your greatest mistake could become the sun that warms you, the deity that informs you of the power you possess, regardless of supposed failure or success. There are no meaningless gifts. From petroglyphs to text messages, vestiges of life passage remain, symbolically framed in our imperfect writings. And thus we go onward striving, and thus we go onward striding.